Hey guys, and welcome back to Review Writer. If you're new here, thanks for stopping by. Today, we're going to be going over the Rotring 500 mechanical pencil, which is actually like a really well-known and nice graphing pencil. So we're going to be going over the selling points first with my reviewing sheet. So this is the same for every pencil, and the price range is what I compare it to, and basically what the entire review hinges on. So most of these pencils go for around $15, so we're going to put the $11 to $20 price range, and it falls just in the middle of that. So it'll be a pretty fair rating. So for the selling points, it has a lead indicator here at the top. As you can see, it is pretty shiny and a little hard to read, but it is very sturdy and it's stiff when you change it. So if I change it to, say, B, hopefully you can see it there. It says B on the thing. And I just shake it around or do whatever with it. It's not going to change. It still says B. So for the selling points, the first thing we have is the lead indicator. And then the next selling point is going to be the brass clutch, which all of these Rotring 100 pencils have. 600, 500, 800. And it's just known for its reliability, and it's just a really good brass clutch that will stay together for a while. Alright, so next we have the knurled grip, which is said on their website to increase tactility and comfort. So the rule of hand for most of these mechanical pencils is that the tighter the squares on the knurling are, the more tactile and grippy the pencil will be. And this one actually has some of the tightest knurled squares I've ever seen. So hopefully if I zoom in, you guys can see the squares, but they're incredibly tiny, and each of those gives you pretty good tactility. Let's take, for example, the Graph Gear 1000. You can see easily the squares, so it's not going to be as tactile. Obviously it has this rubber, so that's what makes it more tactile, but that's just an example of a less tactile knurled grip. So that's the third selling point. And then finally, we have an ergonomic and hexagonal plastic barrel, which is actually pretty nice because if I put my finger in the middle here, let me zoom out real quick, then you can see that the pencil is actually weighted towards the tip. See, it's directly in the middle, and it's actually pointing this way, over to this side of the pencil. So obviously, since the slant is towards this side, you're going to have more weight towards the end of the pencil, which is a good feature for most people. And the Rotring 600, which actually has a brass body, is actually less liked because of the more even spacing of the weight, whereas this one, it is more towards the end, so you can write for longer with it. Now these pencils, they come in blue, red, black, and green. So a bunch of variety if you want to keep with your certain aesthetic. And since we did the selling points, hopefully you guys can see that right there. We're going to move on to the comfort category. So this is out of 8, and the first point is grip design. So as I said before, the tighter the knurling, the more tactile it is, and this has one of the tightest I've ever seen. It's also pretty close to the tip, which helps those writers that like to have a lot of control and hold their pencil super close so that they know exactly what they're writing. The precision is actually added upon by this long lead pipe here, and it just helps to see what you're writing and know what you're doing. So the grip is big enough for any writer, especially if you're one of these longer writers where you write far from the tip, or shorter writers, short from the tip, to write. So it's going to get a 3 out of 5 for the grip design, because this is just par for the course in this price range. A knurled grip isn't that hard to do, and you can see it on even $5 pencils. So it's going to get a 3 out of 5. And then the material quality, obviously a 3 out of 3. Because metal isn't gonna fall apart, and these knurls, I don't even know what they're called. These squares, they're just gonna stay the way they are. They don't really wear down that often when you're writing, so it's just gonna get a 6 out of 8, which is pretty good for comfort, above average. So next we have functionality. And this pencil, I've had no jams with it. It has a very reliable brass mechanism, the one I talked about earlier, that is with all of the Rotrings. If I actually take the cap off, you can see how big it is. Usually, clutches, especially brass clutches, are pretty small, but in this case, if I can get it to finally focus, there you go. This one is very big. The brass clutch, it is about twice the size of a normal one, and I'm not sure why, but it helps. It's semi-easy to repair, but the inner body, the middle part where this plastic barrel is, it's just impossible to access. Unless you want to break apart your pencil, in which case, go for it. So it's going to get a 4 out of 5. Because it doesn't really jam, and when it does, you can access that clutch really easily. So next we have erasability. So let's take off this cap, and it actually has a good quality eraser. It's pretty tiny, but this sheath actually adds to it a lot because if you can see, it's super easy to just get these, maybe not for me right now because my nails are pretty short, but if I want to take this out, I can just easily change the length of that eraser. So if I want that much out, it's easy for me, and if I want this much out, I can just put it back in the pencil, and I'm pretty sure the cap will also fit back on. So I can have this much, or I can have the minimum, and the cap will still fit on, and I can write normally. So it works pretty well. The extras are about $1 each, and they also come with the sheath, which seems a little bit wasteful because it's metal, so you could just use the sheath again and again, but who am I to complain? 1 out of 3 for erasability just because it's tiny. It's good quality, as I said before, but you should expect more, especially if you're paying $15 or $20 for a pencil. So, durability. So while the plastic body isn't as durable, with some give, as you can see, the bottom centered weight is really good. It has a metal clip up here at the top, so that adds to the durability. It's not gonna snap off or anything unless you put a lot of pressure on it, and at that point you're just doing it on purpose. The Rotring 600 has a brass body, as I said before, and a lot actually prefer the cheaper Rotring 500's weighting. So it gets a 1 out of 3 because the plastic is a lot more likely to scratch or fall apart, but it's good quality, and I think it'll last you a while as long as you make sure to take good care of it. I also think in this price range, a retractable tip is really important because if this tip bends, then your pencil's over. You can't do anything with it, and it's borderline impossible to get it back into that perfectly straight line because it's just really hard. So if you bend this tip, it's game over for this entire pencil. So I think that's a really important feature that should not be brushed over in any pencil above $10. So this pencil, it gets a 6 out of 11 in functionality, and we'll move on to value for money next. So we're going to talk about the amount and delivery of features and make sure these match the price range. So the lead indicator works great, as I said before, and I'm not sure about the ergonomics, as they said in the hexagonal barrel, but it definitely needs a retractable tip for the price, and the plastic body is also disappointing. It would have been nice if the company could have made a lower weight brass body as kind of an in-between of the 600 and the 700, I think it is, or the 800, I can't remember at this point, but it is going to get a 0 out of 3 for the amount of features because it really just needs more. And in terms of the delivery of features, a 3 out of 5. Because the ones they did decide to do, like the grip and the lead indicator, which are basically the only unique features, are done pretty well. So it's going to get a 3 out of 8, which ends up with a 5 out of 10. So this obviously is very average. And although many people really like this pencil and it's a classic in the mechanical pencil hobby, it is just not the best in terms of value for money mechanical pencils. Instead, I would definitely recommend the Graph Gear 1000, which is cheaper. It has a completely aluminum body and a lot more metal for the price. A review of that came out last week, actually. So if you guys are interested in that, I will include that in here and in the description down below. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and here is the final rundown of everything. If you really enjoyed, please make sure to like, and if you want to see more content like this, subscribe. It'll help out my channel, and it just really helps me to motivate myself to continue making these videos. So I hope you enjoyed again, and thank you for watching. Bye!